The Boston Celtics have swept the Milwaukee Bucks in this season series. They won 111 to 105, and I mean, this literally came down to the last minute. The Boston Celtics just flipped a switch, and that's how we got this final score. But Boston's also starting to feel themselves again this point in the season. They have won their last 10 of 11 games, and we have seen numerous different lineups. We've seen some with Kristaps Porzingis, some without Porzingis, some without Holiday, even without Tatum. But the whole point is that even when teams are fully healthy, which the Milwaukee Bucks were, because Chris Middleton finally made his season debut, they're still not better than the Boston Celtics, who aren't even at their 100% because they didn't play with Kristaps Porzingis. There are so many things to break down from this game here, but overall, before I hop into any of those, I just have one quick question that I do want to ask you guys, because I have been loving the way the Boston Celtics have been playing. Yes, of course, they have had to come back and from deficits, but that's okay. It's a part of the game. And the way that Boston just tends to win based on their IQ, just based on their court vision, and even if the three ball isn't falling, they always seem to find a way for the Boston Celtics to overpower other teams in the NBA, even when they have star players back in the lineup like a Chris Middleton, like a Damian Lillard, like a Giannis Antetokounmpo. As always, the Boston Celtics are proving that they're just too hard to beat. So if you guys are enjoying the Celtics win streak so far against the Milwaukee Bucks, because they have won their 9 straight home games against Milwaukee, they've won 10 out of the last 11 games, and they're on a 4-game win streak right now. So if you guys are enjoying this, go on ahead and like this video. Let's go on ahead and jump into some individual stats that I do want to get in here from the game last night. Jayson Tatum overall just coming in, not playing on Wednesday because he got a well-deserved rest game. And let me tell you something. Tatum doesn't ever take rest games. So either something was not right, or maybe going up against the Pistons, they just thought that Boston was able to get it done without Tatum, and they were correct. The exact way they got it done tonight without Kristaps Porzingis. But Jayson Tatum having 34 points, 10 boards, and 5 assists. But there's one stat that I really do want to point out here, is that Jayson Tatum tends to just get better throughout the game, and we have been able to watch that first and foremost. Jayson Tatum, who ended the night with 34 points. He had 14 points alone in the fourth quarter, which was pretty much neck and neck the entire 12 minutes. He went 5 for 5 from the field and 2 for 2 from the three-point line. He shot 100% in the fourth quarter. And I know that, thankfully, it didn't come down to actual clutch time, because we did take the lead with about a minute left to go, a little bit more than a minute left to go. But Tatum was proving that he can show up when the game matters most, and that's always in the fourth quarter. He had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and my favorite stat of all, he had 0 turnovers. MVP chants were breaking out in TD Garden because Tatum brings a different level of energy when he does come off the bench. And it's proven that he can run with numerous different lineups and still be one of the top players on the basketball court. Jaylen Brown coming in. The Jays were in full action here tonight. 25 points from Jaylen Brown. He went 33% from a three-point line. Not my favorite stat, but not terrible. 47% from the field, 3 assists and 3 rebounds. I think Jaylen Brown, the number one thing that I really enjoyed about Brown was his ability to defend somebody like Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Giannis had 30 points. I mean, this is just what Giannis does. But it does take a certain type of player to be able to cut off his resources. And numerous times while Brown was guarding Giannis, he had to force Giannis to pass it away because the shot just wasn't there. I think that speaks highly of a guy that can play 2 ways. But there is one player that I had a feeling was going to pop off tonight, because we've seen this as a trend so far in the season since he was traded to Boston. But Holiday tends to play his best game against players from the Bucks. Interesting, isn't it? Well, not so much considering that's where we took him from. But Holiday, he had 20 points against Milwaukee this time. He had 21 points against Milwaukee last time. And I was actually talking to a coworker earlier today saying, you know, I love Holiday. He's one of my favorite defensive players in the NBA. Hell, I think he should be Defensive Player of the Year. But his offense has slipped a little bit throughout the first 20 games of the season. But when he goes back to playing against the Bucks in a game where we really needed him because not everybody on the bench was scoring the way they normally score, Jrue Holiday had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. It looked like Holiday finally got out of his slump. But something that really needs to be proved to me here is that he can stay out of that slump. Because we know that he always tends to pop off against the Milwaukee Bucks because he knows that team. He came from that team. But if he can continue shooting this way, not to mention bringing up his three-point percentage from the corner three where he thrived last season as a top scorer from the corner, I do think that it's going to have to depend on what he does next, because when you got a guy like Derrick White who you rely heavily on his scoring when Porzingis doesn't play and he comes out and has 6 points, 6 boards, and 7 assists, it's not going to cut it. So if Holiday had happened to have shot the way that he had been shooting, about 8 points, it was going to be a long night for Boston. So these were our starters here tonight, but we can't move on to talk to you about our sponsor just yet until we give love to Horford. I know, you're probably like, 8 points? Allie, why are we giving love to Horford? The way that Horford guards Giannis is my favorite matchup in the NBA. Giannis has the certain type of build where Giannis has a very special skill set in that he is literally Kevin Durant's height, but he's got the weight and the strength of like a offensive lineman in the NFL. Giannis, it's known that when he drives down low in the paint, he uses that strength to kind of barrel his way down to the rack, and that's okay. Basketball is a physical game. But when Horford's on him, he doesn't take that. He's able to plant those feet and allow Giannis to have to either go around him or dish it out, a.k.a. work harder for his points. And Horford was that extra level of energy that we needed last night, because Horford, on one occasion, even told Mazzulla, turn on that green light because I know it's going to be a successful challenge. And he was right on that play. It was a very controversial play. And he scored the 2 threes of the night, and they came in incredible timing. One of his threes actually came to take the lead, which started this run and ended up winning the ball game. Horford was definitely an unsung hero of tonight's game. We're going to break down my thoughts on the bench because it wasn't the best game for one of our star players, but we're going to break that down in just a moment. I do want to tell you guys about our sponsor here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. Let's talk about Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America, the app that I play every single game day, and the app that I would love you guys to play as well. All you guys have to do is just pick more or less on a player's projected stats, and you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. That's truly all it takes to test your skills. You can choose between collegiate and professional players. You can also choose between numerous different sports to really mix and match and test out how well you know ball. And my picks for last night's game, I tend to take the less. I always tend to take the more. That's just kind of how I play, but I didn't feel like Dame was going to have that great of a game. Well, he had 31 points, so that one wasn't a win, but Derrick White's was also not a win. So this was a losing lineup for me, unfortunately, but the good news is that with Prize Picks, on Fridays, it's Flex Fridays. So win or your money back, guaranteed up to $20. So I got to get my money back, and guess what? I'm playing on Sunday when football rolls around. So if you guys want to go on ahead and download the Prize Picks app, use promo code CLNS for a first time $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code CLNS. This will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Here's who wasn't having a good game. Pritchard. And this was Pritchard's obvious season low. He had a goose egg. He was being guarded by Damian Lillard the entire time, and Pritchard's main responsibility was to guard Lillard. And it was a fast-moving game, and that's for sure. And obviously, as you can tell, the Bucks, wasn't the highest scoring game. Normally, the Celtics score 100 in the third quarter. But we also learned something very important, is that we need Pritchard to win. We do. And I understand you're thinking, Allie, how is that true? Because we won without Pritchard's help. Well, we need him just as much as we don't need that. A goose egg really hurt us. And that's why I say we need Pritchard to win. Because Holiday, who has been in a shooting slump, then you have Derrick White, who came in with 6 points. You had a Horford who ended up putting almost double digits, which doesn't normally happen. So the main reason for the bench, and the one thing I love about Hauser and Pritchard, is they say, we come in and we show it doesn't always have to be on Tatum and Brown. But tonight it had to be on Tatum and Brown because they both had 25 and 34 to help this team win. We don't realize how much we need Pritchard scoring until you are going into the last minute with the Milwaukee Bucks, because you have to now make up for normally a guy that averages 16.5 points. That's what I mean by we need Pritchard to win. Can we win without him? Absolutely. We can win without Porzingis too. But we really had to make up for Pritchard's lack of points because we normally rely on him so heavily coming off the bench. But thankfully, his twin coming off the bench, Sam Hauser, he picked up his share of the night. 16 points for Hauser. He went 50% from downtown. Hauser definitely starting to find his rhythm. Last game, he had 20 points, and then we found this amazing stat that the Boston Celtics are 9-0 when Sam Hauser has 20 points. Well, now he's got 16 points, and they still won the ball game. So having that extra shooting coming off the bench, the Celtics really do rely on it. And it's one of those things where, yes, we have the best starting five in the NBA. Without a doubt, I stand on that. But the help from Hauser and Pritchard together is what makes the Celtics so dominant in point differential. When you've only got one, in my opinion, coming off the bench, which more recently it's been Pritchard, not so much Hauser coming off the bench and scoring like this, we're able to dominate. We're able to create that 20-point lead every single game. And I know you don't have to have a lead like that. Sometimes you enjoy games that are back and forth, back and forth, back and forth the entire time. But if you want to be the dominant team that won the NBA championship, you need players like Hauser and Pritchard to put up the points consistently to help you win this ball game. All right, I do have one last question for you guys here. The Boston Celtics did end up winning this ball game, and it was a really good crowd in TD Garden. It was a good outcome at the end of the day, and it showed me the Boston Celtics, even when they're not 100%, they can still win ball games in the Eastern Conference. So grade Boston's performance tonight versus the Bucks. A, B, C, D, or F. I'm definitely going to give this probably a B-. I love Tatum and Brown's play, but I definitely think there were some sloppy moments that definitely gave me some heart attacks. They let the league a little bit too large from the box a few times, and I definitely think there are some things they can clean up, and I'm sure they would say the exact same thing. So if you guys want to go ahead and grade your performance down below, go on ahead and do that. And as always, if you guys have not subscribed already, go on ahead and hit that sub button for me and join 42,000 loyal subscribers on Celtics Today by Chat Sports.